Good morning. We start with some developing election news. About an hour and a half ago, the Associated Press reported Governor Rick Scott's victory margin over Senator Bill Nelson was just 0.48 percentage points, and Scott claimed victory just after midnight. But under Florida state law, a recount is mandatory if the winning candidate's margin of victory is less than 0.5 percentage point.
Other than serving our nation in uniform, the opportunity to serve as the 46th governor of the great state of Florida is the greatest professional honor of my life.
Florida remains a red state as Republican Ron DeSantis is declared winner in the governor's race.
And a congressional shift. Some saw this coming. Democrats take back the House while the Senate stays in Republican control.
Tonight we're gearing up for another hot day across Tampa Bay. Temperatures warming a good 5 to 7 degrees warmer than average. Your highs in the upper 80s.
Starting off the morning with a serious crash here in Pinellas County. A car has overturned here off 275. I'll have a full report coming up.
And the word of the day is reaction, and I'm seeing lots of it on social media. I'll tell you a little bit about that here in a minute.
I'm Candace Avila.
I'm Rob Finnerty. It is a Wednesday morning, a hump day, November the 7th. Brightside starts right now. Good morning. Welcome back to Brightside. We want to get back to that developing story right now in the Senate race here in Florida between outgoing Governor Rick Scott and Senator Bill Nelson. Governor Scott declared victory after midnight last night, but this morning, the Associated Press is reporting that his win over Senator Nelson is only 0.48%. There is no word yet about a mandatory recount, but Florida law does require a recount if the margin of victory is less than 0.5%.
And that brings us to some of these headlines in this morning's papers. The Tampa Bay Times says Rick Scott wins Florida U.S. Senate race, defeating three-term incumbent Bill Nelson. The Miami Herald declared Scott the winner, saying Rick Scott edges Bill Nelson to win U.S. Senate seat in tight, historic race.
Yeah, and this is important. Let's go to the Orlando Sentinel now. They also declared victory for Scott, leading their newspaper headline today with Rick Scott wins Florida Senate race. But this one interesting, the Naples Daily News, that's Rick Scott's hometown there. They were a little bit short of a declaration, though they did call the race for Scott with this headline: Scott appears to have won Senate race by razor-thin margin.
And finally, a look at the Ledger, who boldly proclaimed Scott ousts Nelson from U.S. Senate. Meanwhile, Senator Nelson's campaign said after midnight the senator will make a statement today. He did not address his supporters or the media last night.
10 News reporter Bo Zimmer is in Naples, where Scott claimed victory.
Well, it was a nail-biter of an election night here in Naples for the Rick Scott campaign and all of the supporters who gathered here last night. I can tell you that the night started off with a lot of cautious optimism that Rick Scott could pull this one off, and then as the night went on and the numbers got closer and closer, and then Rick Scott actually surpassed Bill Nelson, this crowd started cheering every time those numbers came up on screen. And then ultimately, just after midnight, Rick Scott took to the stage to declare victory.
Socialism will not happen in our nation, and it's not going to happen under my watch. I didn't go to Tallahassee 8 years ago to be everybody's friend. I'm not going to D.C. to win a popularity contest. I'm going to D.C. to get something done.
And of course, when Rick Scott finally took the stage, they noted that they had not yet received a call from Bill Nelson, but they are very confident that they have won this race. And that's the situation here in Naples. We'll throw it back to you.
As for the governor's race, Republican nominee Ron DeSantis beat Democrat Andrew Gillum by more than 80,000 votes. We'll have more on this race and what it means for the state in about 30 minutes. Meanwhile, Democrats will have control of the House when next year's Congress begins in January.
Voters in the midterm elections gave the Democrats the majority, but it wasn't the massive blue wave that many had thought it would be. Republicans were able to expand their majority in the U.S. Senate, and in a sign of what was to come, Virginia Democrat Jennifer Wexton defeated Republican Congresswoman Barbara Comstock. That was one of the first races called. It's one of more than 24 seats flipped in the House in the midterms that helped Democrats take back the House.
Today is more than about Democrats and Republicans. It's about restoring the Constitution's checks and balances to the Trump administration.
Republicans diminished the blue wave by increasing their majority in the Senate by taking Senate seats back in North Dakota, Missouri, Utah, and Tennessee.
All right, as we get the day started, some fog developing over the last hour and a half, especially along the I-4 corridor. Finding Plant City, you're down to about a half-mile visibility because of that fog. Zephyr Hills, you've seen the fog kind of roll in and out at about a mile visibility right now, a little to the north. Zephyr Hills half-mile, Temple Terrace, you're at a mile, so you can tell. The fog's out there. It's not everywhere, but it's mainly east of the I-75 corridor. Most of the immediate Bay Area won't have any problems whatsoever this morning or through most of the day. Satellite radar shows us clear skies, so if you're not dealing with fog, you've got sunshine on tap for at least the first half of the day. This afternoon, we'll see a 20% chance of just a few isolated showers. Otherwise, the main thing today, a lot like yesterday, is going to be the heat. Temperature is about 5 to 7 degrees warmer than average. We'll see highs there around 87 degrees later today.
All right, I have an update for you on this overturned car in Pinellas County. So this is off the 275 entrance ramp to northbound 275 from MLK Street. So here's the vehicle. It's completely on its side. You have the Florida Highway Patrol. They're kind of seeing what's going on here. I haven't seen any reports of injuries, so I'm not quite sure at this point because this just happened. So that's something that we are trying to ask questions about. You can see traffic is still able to get on to 275, so there's no lane blocked at this point, but then again, there's not really any emergency vehicles on scene yet, so I will keep an eye on this one, certainly for your morning commute. Into Tampa, 275 southbound, slowing down a little bit, approaching the I-4 corridor.
All right, Hillary, 6 after the hour now. We want to get back to politics in the Attorney General race here in the state of Florida. Republican Ashley Moody beating Democrat Sean Shaw by more than 520,000 votes, getting just under 53% of the vote.
We'll always remember that it is not about me. It is about you. And ensuring at the end of the day, I defend the rights that ensure that you are in charge. I will work every day to deserve this great honor, to protect Floridians, and demonstrate an unwavering commitment to what sets us apart from others. And that is our belief in and adherence to justice under a rule of law.
Moody promised to continue the conservative policies already in place. As for Democrat Sean Shaw, he thanked his team and said the race was historic despite not winning.
It's okay. You know, we weren't successful, but we ran a good race. We made history just running. We were more competitive, raised more money, more endorsements. First African-American nominee. We did wonderful.
This election is being called the Year of the Woman, and now that many of the results are in, it's easy to see why. Brightside's Jenny Dean is keeping track of the women that made history last night. Jenny?
Yeah, Candace, last night there were many women that were elected to local, state, and federal offices, but there are a few that stand out. Let's talk about those. We want to start with the female governors. As of right now, we have 6. But after last night's election, I want you to check out this map. Women in 9, maybe 10 states have secured that seat. There are 4 female incumbents that were able to retain their seats, and you can see those are the ones in purple, and 5 others picked up wins. By the way, Maine is getting its first female governor. Now, the only question mark right now, which is why I say we could have 10, is the state of Georgia. That race is still too close to call. Democratic candidate Stacey Abrams calling for a recount, which could lead to a possible runoff. Now, if she wins, that means 10 states would have female governors. And not only are we going to be seeing more women in Washington, well, Congress is getting a big dose of diversity as well.
The record-breaking number of women on ballots across the country included Republican Marsha Blackburn, who was quick to thank voters for electing her the first woman ever to represent Tennessee in the United States Senate.
And just imagine this, it is a conservative woman to be.
In New York, Democrat Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez became the youngest woman elected to Congress at just 29 years old. In Massachusetts, Ayanna Pressley ran unopposed as a Democrat and became the first black woman to represent the Commonwealth in Congress. Voters also are infusing Washington with some new ethnic diversity. Democrat Ilhan Omar will serve as the nation's first Somali American congresswoman.
We are done waiting. We are the ones we have been waiting for. Let's get to work.
She'll be joined by Michigan Democrat Rashida Tlaib, also a Muslim and the first Palestinian American to serve Congress. Voters in Kansas chose Democrat Sharice Davids. She'll be the first Native American congresswoman. She's also a lesbian and was among a number of LGBTQ candidates, including Colorado Democrat Jared Polis, who will be the nation's first openly gay governor.
Wow, I just got goosebumps. So much change and diversity coming our way.
There really is. And two of the women that we talked about in there, Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar, both the first women Muslims in Congress.
Yeah, very interesting.
So definitely a lot of firsts last night. Definitely good to see a lot of diversity. And it's across the board. It's Democrats and it's Republicans.
Yes, definitely. Jenny, thanks so much.
Well, a surprise to our 10 News analysts on Tuesday night, all but one of the Florida amendments passed. Each of the 12 amendments needed at least 60% of the votes to pass. So let's start with amendment number 1. That was the homestead exemption. It did not pass. The amendment would have increased the homestead exemption, a tax break available for homeowners who live on their properties. Amendment number 2, limiting property tax, did pass. This permanently places a 10% cap on the annual increase of non-homestead property tax assessments. Let's go to Amendment 3 now, control of gambling. It passed, giving voters the exclusive right to decide whether a new casino can open in the state of Florida. Amendment number 4, felon voting rights. It passed, restoring the voting rights to 1.5 million Americans who do have felonies on their record. Amendment number 5, supermajority vote required to impose, authorize, or raise state taxes or fees. That did pass. And amendment number 6, stronger rights for crime victims and their families. That passed. We will take a look at the next 6 amendments coming up a little bit later here on Brightside, so don't go anywhere. And if you want to see how close these amendments were or how many votes certain amendments got, you can log on to our website, WTSP.com/EyeOnPolitics, and check that out right now. Well, good morning, and look at the sunrise behind the U.S. Capitol. It is a new day. You are up with Brightside. House Democrats regaining control of the U.S. House of Representatives for the first time since 2010, meaning Paul Ryan will be out as Speaker of the House. He did not run for re-election yesterday. 78-year-old Nancy Pelosi could take over as Speaker of the House. That will happen in January. All right, as you wake up on this Wednesday morning, voters in Michigan, Missouri, and Utah passing marijuana laws. In Michigan, recreational marijuana use is now legal, making it the first state in the Midwest to do so. Voters in Missouri and Utah legalizing medical marijuana use. It is now legal in 30 states. Meantime, in Washington state, voters approving the country's first tax on carbon emissions. Analysts say the measure will let states tackle climate issues if the Trump administration is not doing so. And back locally, we're expecting another update about red tide from FWC later today. Last Friday's report showed medium to high concentrations off Pinellas County beaches, but beaches to the north in Clearwater and toward Honeymoon Island showed some low concentration areas. Remember, you can check out that map for yourself anytime on our website, WTSP.com/red-tide.
6:15 on our Wednesday morning. We just showed you a live picture from Washington, D.C. of the Capitol building. We've got a great sunrise here in Tampa Bay as well. Sunrise in about 30 minutes. This is a live look from downtown St. Petersburg, looking to the south and east, which is where the sun will rise here momentarily. Temperatures, if you're heading out to watch that sunrise, in the low 70s, relative humidity at 91%. A little humidity this morning and a little bit of fog. Where we are finding the fog, though, fairly dense. Half-mile visibility in Plant City. I was just checking some of the traffic cameras south of Lakeland, and visibility is pretty low there as well. Even though at Lakeland Linder, visibilities are at 6 miles. We're finding 0-mile visibility in the southern part of the county in Bartow. So there certainly is some fog out there. Could slow you down, but it won't last that long. In fact, where the fog hasn't developed, it's going to be a gorgeous start to the day. Mostly clear skies, mostly sunny conditions throughout the morning. It won't be until this afternoon that we'll begin to see a few more scattered clouds develop, and maybe a few isolated showers. Better chance of rain will be through the southeastern part of the state today. But if there are some showers out there, they'll hang around through around 11 or 12 o'clock tonight. Otherwise, dry conditions into tomorrow morning. Partly cloudy skies to start off the day tomorrow, and then we'll see that return chance of some afternoon showers, isolated in nature. Temperatures staying in the mid and upper 80s as well tomorrow. Things begin to change, though. Our warmer than normal pattern begins to really become a thing of the past as we go through the weekend. This cold front approaching on Saturday will bring a small chance of rain, knocks our temperatures into the low 80s for Saturday and Sunday. But as we go into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, we'll be watching this area of low pressure move out of the western Gulf of Mexico. It'll bring us a few showers on Monday, but more likely finding some rain out there for Tuesday. Showers and storms possible, and then turning much colder for Wednesday. We're talking temperatures struggling to climb out of the 60s for highs, and not only will the temperatures be cooler, but the air will be so much drier. The dew point today, it's in the low 70s, upper 60s. It'll stay there through the next several days, but look what happens. Wednesday, dew points forecast to drop into the 30s. So yeah, first real taste of fall arriving into the middle of next week, or at least that's how it looks right now. Temperatures right now are in the upper 60s to low 70s across the Bay Area. Good looking morning. Just watch out for that patchy fog, especially along I-4 over the next couple of hours. We'll see high temperatures around 87 this afternoon. Just a 20% chance that we see any rain. Mainly dry conditions today and mainly dry conditions for the rest of the week. The next good chance of rain will roll in on Monday with more scattered showers and storms expected into Tuesday.
It is 6:19 on your Wednesday morning here, and there's a lot going on here on 275 in Pinellas. This is the entrance ramp from MLK Street onto northbound 275, and you see this car right here is on its side. Right now we do have Road Ranger that has just arrived to put out some cones, and it sounds like an ambulance has also been called, so I am getting reports of that someone was injured in this. And you can see that a person is sort of around the car with a flashlight right there. So this is something that is just continuing to progress here in terms of getting the emergency vehicles onto the scene, and quite possibly the ramp could close once the ambulance gets here. All right, I also want to take you into, just show you the wide look at where that crash is. You're at least still in the green on the highway. All right, now into Polk County, where Grant has been talking about some fog, and specifically in Bartow. And it's interesting that there's fog in Bartow because that's where we're seeing some slowdowns along State Road 60, specifically here. And this is such a rural area, and it's pretty dark overnight in the early morning hours. And so, it's a little tricky here. It can get really, really foggy, and the visibility can become so bad. So careful here. You can see eastbound from Bartow over to Lake Wales, you're slow. Your travel time 17 minutes between US 98 and US 27 there. So just please be careful and get those low beams on and drive slowly. All right, this is Hernando County, where a milk truck overturned on northbound Suncoast Parkway just south of Brooksville. This is right at County Line Road, where Pasco County turns into Hernando County. There is one lane blocked here, but traffic is getting by in the other lane. And your bridges this morning, as we move into our Wednesday morning commute, they are still in the green, so it is a great time to cross the bay.
So we know who the winners are of the elections, but who were the voters? We'll be breaking down all the details after the break.
And welcome back to Brightside. It's time for today's Digital Dive. Good morning, I'm Aubrey Jackson. We're taking a closer look at the political trends. Now, more than 60% of voters said that healthcare was a top concern, with immigration coming in and second. Now, giving reaction, President Donald Trump tweeted this just yesterday: "Tremendous success tonight. Thank you to all." Now, Trump was not on the midterm ballot, but early exit polls suggest that President Trump significantly affected voting for the House of Representatives in the midterm elections, with nearly 2/3 of voters agreeing that Trump was a factor, and 1/4 of voters casting a House ballot said that they casted their ballot in support of the president. 4 in 10 voters said they cast a vote in order to oppose him. Really interesting stuff there, right, Rob?
Very fascinating, especially how this is all playing out this morning. We've been talking about the candidates throughout the morning, the amendments as well, but coming up next, we're going to be talking with you about the election. We want to show you a live shot right now of the Statue of Liberty in New York City. It was a very busy day. Stay with 10 News. There is Lady Liberty. The sun is up and shining. That statue right there embodies why we all did what we did yesterday, and that is vote. Keep it here. We'll be right back.
It is Wednesday, the day after the election. 6:28 is the time, and here's a live look, our first live look from Sky 10. We are flying over a crash right near Westfield Brandon Mall. So this is on Providence Road. I'll have more details coming up, but a good start to our morning in downtown Tampa. Not seeing any issues on your roads. You are starting to pick up just a little bit, so I'll have those travel times for you.
Sky 10 probably not able to venture too far to the east, where we're finding some fog this morning. Visibility, Plant City down to a half mile. Bartow, you're down to 0.
All right, Grant, newspapers around the state are saying Governor Rick Scott is going to be Florida's next senator, but the race still has not been officially called this morning.
And we're hearing from many of you about your thoughts on the election. Brightside's Emerald Morrow will join us live in just a few minutes with reaction on election results.
And everyone talking about Amendment 4 getting a pass, restoring felons the right to vote in Florida. Let's see what voters are saying online.
It is a Wednesday morning, November the 7th. Brightside starts right now.
Post-election.
It's kind of, we were all up. I talked to Candace. She's up till 11 last night, watching the return.
Credit to you. I mean, you just couldn't get away from your phone, could you?
Right.
Yeah, it's like a new AP alert was rolling in every minute, and I was like, oh my gosh.
They still are.
Yeah, that's
I know a lot of our political team was here last night. Noah Pransky was tweeting from here at like midnight last night, if not later than that. So yeah, a late night for a lot of us this morning. Waking up maybe a little foggy, a little bleary-eyed. Well, weather too, finding some visibilities down to near a half mile in Plant City, 6 mile visibility in Lakeland. Bartow down to near 0. So yeah, the fog can be pretty thick in some spots this morning, but if you're not waking up to fog this morning, whew, it looks nice out there. Clear skies for most of us out there. We will see a fair amount of sunshine throughout the day today. We'll just have to watch out for that patchy dense fog, especially at the bus stops this morning. Temperatures will be around 70 degrees. Sunrise at 6:46, so we're about 15 minutes away from that. Mostly sunny skies through lunchtime. I do have a 20% chance for an isolated shower out there as we go through the afternoon, but mainly dry conditions today. Temperatures for the ride home will be around 86. Remember, the forecast is on the radio. Our radio partners are the Dove 105.5, the Eagle 107.3, Hitland 106.9 in Sarasota, and Magic 94.9.
It is 6:30. We are getting into the early parts of morning rush hour. We have a crash, an overturned car on the entrance ramp to 275 northbound at MLK Street here in Pinellas County. We finally have an FHP officer on scene there, but traffic is getting by. And let's go live to our first look at Sky 10 here. Our chopper flying over this crash. You can see a van and another car rammed into each other. One of them hit this power pole here, and there's some debris in the lanes. This is in Brandon, right on Providence Road at Town Center, so right near Brandon Westfield Mall. This intersection so far is running pretty smoothly, but it could slow down as we pick up for a rush hour. I'll stay on top of it.
Well, now we want to get to the closely watched governor's race. It was a hard-fought battle.
Oh boy, it sure was. But Republican Ron DeSantis will become Florida's 46th governor, and Brightside's Eric Glasser is in Orlando, where he declared victory.
Thank you, Florida, for your support.
Governor-elect Ron DeSantis thanking his followers after a long, expensive, and often nasty race.
Not bad for a kid who started out making $6 an hour.
DeSantis says he was humbled and grateful. Aside from wearing the uniform and serving in the military, he said,
the opportunity to serve as the 46th governor of the great state of Florida is the greatest professional honor of my life.
His personal story, said DeSantis, was proof anything is possible with hard work. He vowed to work for all Floridians, not just those who'd supported him, keeping scholarships for low-income kids, protecting Florida's environment. He promised to keep taxes low and work with law enforcement.
And I believe you have to turn the page on a political campaign, and you got to be willing to work with Floridians from all walks of life. I don't care if you were against me in the campaign. I want to work with you to advance our common priorities.
DeSantis wrapped things up by thanking his wife Casey, his parents, his campaign volunteers and staff, and then ended things the way they had started, by thanking President Donald Trump for his endorsement when, even in DeSantis' words, he said, when it wasn't necessarily the smart thing to do. You're going to get tired of me calling you, but he looked forward to a good partnership. Back to you.
As for the Democrat, Andrew Gillum, he conceded the race, even with only 80,000 votes separating him and DeSantis.
I want you to know that every step of this way, even though I won't have the blessing of serving as the next governor of the state of Florida, I still plan to be on the front lines right alongside every single one of you when it comes to standing up for what it is that we believe in.
All right, but the race that still has Florida at a standstill this morning is the U.S. Senate race.
That's right. Governor Rick Scott claimed victory last night, saying this.
I didn't go to Tallahassee 8 years ago to be everybody's friend. I'm not going to D.C. to win a popularity contest. I'm going to D.C. to get something done.
But as of 4:30 this morning, this race is not over. It's within a half a percentage point, which means the race could go into a runoff. But we won't know more on that until later today when Senator Bill Nelson speaks to us.
In Hillsborough County, you voted to raise taxes in two separate referendums. One is a 1% increase for transportation. The other is a half-cent increase, and that'll be for schools. And Brightside's Grady Trimble has been following this, and he shows you where your tax money will go.
The transportation referendum paves the way for a massive overhaul of transit in Hillsborough County.
This is about solving a problem in a common sense way, and we are thrilled that the people of Hillsborough County got on board to do it.
On board to not only expand public transit, but also to improve roads and bridges and fix potholes. The 1% sales tax increase is expected to rake in about $276 million every year.
This is what it feels like when a plan comes together.
Down the road, Hillsborough County schools are celebrating a win of their own. Voters passed a half-cent sales tax increase expected to pull in $138 million per year. The district will use the money for new air conditioners and other property improvements.
People care about education and care about their public schools in Hillsborough County. That's one thing we all learned. Yeah.
Hillsborough's new sales tax rate will be the highest in the state at 8.5%. Tuesday's big winners say it's money well spent.
You're going to get what you're paying for, because I don't think that anyone sits in traffic and says, gee, I wish my sales tax was 1% less.
I can promise them they're going to get a huge return on this investment. Woo! That's what I'm going to tell you.
Those new tax rates will kick in officially on January 1st. Candace?
One of the amendments that got a lot of support, the restoration of ex-felons' voting rights. Aubrey, more than 5 million Floridians voted for this amendment, meaning that 1.4 million former felons will be able to vote in the next election. That's a huge deal.
Yes, this was such a huge amendment that everyone was talking about locally, but we're thinking even bigger than that. Nationally, this started trending on social media, and the folks we're talking about that are getting their right to vote, we'll kind of be seeing them in action when it comes time for the mayoral race. So everyone's going to be talking about that. But speaking of reaction, I want to show you some tweets that I was able to find online so you can take a look too at home. This is Lisa. She's tweeting, more than 1 million people just regained the right to vote in Florida. Lots of exclamation marks there. I'm crying actual tears. 1 in 5 black adults in Florida couldn't vote because of felony convictions, and that just changed. Really powerful there. I know, right? Let's take it over to Randy here. He tweets a little bit of a different sentiment. This is not good news. Once you've made the decision to violate anyone or any law, your ability to shape the future should be abolished.
Interesting perspective there.
Right to his own opinion. That's good there. Then over here we have Kane. He says, it makes me very happy to know decent people like my brother, who will finish a 12-year prison sentence in 2025, will be able to vote again thanks to Amendment 4. Florida got the right one tonight for sure.
You know what will also be interesting is, seeing if they actually do get out to the polls, whatever race it is. I know it's an honor to vote, but really it's going to come down to those results to see if it's made a big difference.
Yeah, we've been talking about the difference between registration and voter turnout since even just last week. So I think for them, it's also going to be about getting out to the polls too.
That's right. Make it there. It's important.
All right, ladies, we are keeping it on the amendments right now, so I wanted to take a look at the rest of the amendments on the ballot on Tuesday. Remember, each amendment needed at least 60% of the vote to become law here in the state of Florida and get into the Florida Constitution. Amendment number 7 is the first responder and military member member survivor benefits amendment, public colleges and universities. This amendment passed. Amendment number 8 didn't qualify for the ballot. You might remember that. Amendment number 9, there it is right there. Amendment 9 prohibits offshore oil and gas drilling and prohibits vaping in enclosed indoor workspaces. That one did pass. This is one of the bundled amendments. Amendment 10, state and local government structure and operation. That one passed. Amendment number 11, property rights, removal of obsolete provision, criminal statutes. I know the wording is tricky, but that's what it's called. This amendment did pass. Amendment number 12, lobbying and abuse of office by public officers. This one passed as well. And amendment number 13, ending dog racing by December 31st, 2020. So not that far away. That amendment did pass. All of these amendments and how many people actually voted for them are up on our website right now. The special section is WTSP.com/EyeOnPolitics.
It is a beautiful start to our Wednesday morning. It is 6:41, and this is a live look at the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, looking north towards Pinellas County, where the sun is just making for beautiful skies on your morning commute. A little bit of fog out there to talk about, though, so Grant will have your forecast coming up.
I'm Candace Aviles. Here's what's making headlines. The Colorado man accused of killing his pregnant wife and 2 daughters has pleaded guilty. Christopher Watts has agreed to a plea deal, avoiding the death penalty, but spending the rest of his life behind bars without a chance for parole. When Watts' family disappeared in August, he pleaded for their safe return, but investigators say he killed them in their home and disposed of their bodies in an oil field where he worked. And now that the midterms are over, remember to be civil to your coworkers today. USA Today human resources experts say that bosses should be proactive and vigilant about reinforcing their values and expectations regarding inclusion and respect for diversity of thought. The Girl Scouts are suing the Boy Scouts. They claim a rebranding effort by the Boy Scouts to call themselves just the Scouts is causing confusion. The Boy Scouts dropped the gender distinction from its program for 11 to 17-year-olds earlier this year. And today, Apple's most updated iPad Pro tablet and MacBook Air laptop is hitting store shelves. The iPad Pro starts nearly at $1,000. But if you want all the bells and whistles, the price nearly triples. On the MacBook Air, that's priced around $1,200.
Sun about to come up right now, looking from the roof, actually, of 10 News. Looking down to the southeast this morning, there's where the sun's going to come up. I'll post it on social media here momentarily because it's going to be a gorgeous sunrise. We got great conditions out this morning, just a few clouds. A few areas of fog, too, but I don't think it has a huge impact on the morning commute. Temperatures in St. Pete, 72 degrees right now. Visibility is mainly dropped because of the fog in eastern Hillsborough County into eastern Pasco and then central Polk County. Bartow, you're down to near 0 with that visibility right now. Quarter-mile visibility in Plant City. Satellite and radar, though, this is the story for the day. Mostly sunny skies to start things off. We will see a few more clouds later this afternoon, but a nice-looking day. The only chance of rain will come probably between 3 and about 7 o'clock this afternoon, and that chance of rain, only 20%. Not a huge chance that we see any showers today. And even if we do see any, they'll be relatively isolated in nature. As we go through most of the overnight, partly cloudy skies, we'll see that cloud cover hanging around into early tomorrow morning. So we'll keep a mix of sun and clouds through tomorrow afternoon with a small chance for just a few isolated afternoon showers or storms tomorrow as well. But your high temperatures, a good 5 to 7 degrees warmer than average. Your normal high is 80, and we'll be around 87 this afternoon. Through the rest of the week, allergy forecast doesn't change much. Low to medium pollen counts as we go into Friday and Saturday, but it's going to be over the weekend where our weather really begins to change. Not a huge change for Saturday and Sunday. We'll see this cold front move through. That will bring us a very small chance for an isolated shower to the colder air behind that front will stay to the north, so we really don't get a good push of cold air. Highs will be in the low 80s. On Saturday and Sunday, but it'll be this storm system in the western Gulf of Mexico that begins to strengthen. Now, most of the moisture with this system will track north. We'll just see a few stray showers along the warm front as it moves through Monday. The trailing cold front will bring us at least a 50% chance for a few scattered showers and storms on Wednesday, but really the big impact is going to be high pressure sliding in from the north for Wednesday afternoon, bringing much cooler air for us as we go through at least the middle of the week, if not into the second half of next week. High temperatures on Wednesday may struggle to climb out of the 60s, with highs up into the Midwest not climbing out of the 30s. So a big cool down on the way for the middle of next week, but in the meantime, it's going to be a warm one. In fact, temperatures right now may be our highs for the middle of next week. We're at 72 in St. Pete right now, 71 in Tampa, Lakeland. You're at 68 degrees. Your highs up around 87 this afternoon. Really mainly dry conditions today. Just a 20% chance for a couple of isolated showers here or there. Here's the 7-day forecast. Let's walk you through it as we go through the weekend. Mid-80s for the next couple of days. Just a 20% chance of rain on Saturday. Veterans Day will have a high temperature of 81 with a 10% chance for an isolated shower. Here comes the warm front on Monday. That'll give us highs a little warmer than on Sunday, 83 degrees, 30% chance for a few scattered showers. And then those showers and thunderstorms on Tuesday will be with that cold front. We'll start to see the cool down Tuesday afternoon, 75. And then that cooler air really arriving as we go into the middle of next week.
And that fog is affecting State Road 60 in southern Polk County a little bit here. So between Bartow and Lake Wales specifically, where Grant says it is pretty thick here, I'm seeing a delay east and westbound, and that's pretty rare because this is such a rural area. So just be careful here. There's also a lot of semi trucks that use this roadway, so taking it slow and getting those low beams on is a really good idea. Your travel time is 17 minutes between US 98 and US 27 there. And then I also want to take you to this live look at 275 and MLK Street here. I know it says Almerton Road, but that's just the camera that's being used to look at this crash. This car overturned, though, on the entrance ramp from MLK Street onto 275 northbound, and it appears as if we have just FHP on scene. We did have a road ranger earlier, but I haven't seen an ambulance show up just yet, even though injuries have been reported, so still trying to get word on the severity of those who were hurt in this. Let's go live to Sky 10 also and check out this crash. Oh boy. All right, this is South Tampa. This is Del Mabry Highway at Inner Bay Boulevard, so just north of McDill. And you can see the right lane is only getting by there. We're having some difficulty with that shot, but just so you know, traffic is starting to build there on Del Mabry in both directions really for rush hours, so please give yourself time. I-4 westbound is another hot spot in Tampa, as you can see from the Selman Expressway connector all the way into downtown. I called this in the 5 o'clock hour, and this is just something that has been going on this week. I-4 just extra slow lately. So your travel time is 14 minutes from 75 over to 275. The Selman Expressway is always a good option. Rob.
All right, Hillary, thank you. We are keeping a very close eye on politics, as you can imagine, on this Wednesday morning. We have some new numbers, these just coming in the Senate race here in the state of Florida. We've been reporting all morning long that Governor Rick Scott won the race against Senator Bill Nelson. The difference was just 0.48%. New numbers just in show that margin has now narrowed to 0.43%. So we could possibly see a recount in the Senate race here in Florida.
Very true. And even last night, it was 50-50, just so close until the very end. Looking at some other races, Democrats now control Hillsborough County Commission for the first time in 14 years.
Yeah, this was a big one. Hillsborough County Commission candidates Kimberly Overman beating Republican Todd Marks 53 to 45%. Those the numbers there. Mariella Smith nabbing a key victory over Victor Christ. The two wins mean Democrats will now control the commission. And Democrat Charlie Crist had an easy victory over his Republican challenger, George Buck. He got 58% of the vote there. This is the second congressional win. The Republican turned independent, turned back to Republican. Or check that, Democrat.
That's right. And as the Democrats win control of the House, what does the change in the balance of power mean for President Trump and the GOP? Important question there. Gail King is in New York. Good morning, Gail.
Good morning to you, Candace and Rob. Ahead on CBS this morning, we'll begin with the eye-opener. That's your world in 90 seconds. Plus, we'll show you all the surprises and the upsets from last night's election. Now, the balance of power in D.C. will change for the next 2 years after Democrats won control of the House. And former Bush White House advisor Dan Senor joins us with what the results mean for the GOP and President Trump. Plus, a record number of women will be seated in the next Congress. We'll look at why there was such an increase in female candidates. We'll see you 7 o'clock sharp. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Gail, thank you. At least two key midterm races could have recounts. We will recap some of last night's winners and losers when Brightside. All right, welcome back to Brightside. We want to give you a quick recap of some of the election results that you might have missed.
Florida's next governor will be former Congressman Ron DeSantis. The Iraq War veteran beat Tallahassee Mayor Andrew Gillum by just 80,000 votes. Republican Ashley Moody will be Florida's next Attorney General. She beat Democrat Sean Shaw by more than 520,000 votes.
In the District 18 state Senate race between Republican Dana Young and Janet Cruz, this district covers the west side of Hillsborough County. It will now go to a mandatory recount. In the Agricultural Commissioner's race, Republican State Representative Matt Caldwell defeating Democratic lobbyist and lawyer Nikki Fried in the race to replace departing Ag Commissioner Adam Putnam. Putnam could not seek re-election because of term limits.
And the race that is not guaranteed this morning is the Senate race. The Associated Press is reporting Governor Rick Scott and Senator Bill Nelson are within a half a point of each other, which by Florida law mandates a recount. But there's no official word of one right now. Nelson did not concede last night, despite Scott claiming victory in the race.
And that race so important, so many national implications there. It would be the first time since 1875 that Florida had 2 Republican senators and a Republican governor as well. All right, national races. Voters in yesterday's midterm elections giving Democrats a majority in the House. But it wasn't that massive blue wave that many thought it would be.
That's right. Republicans were able to extend their majority in the Senate. CBS's Nicole Killen is in the Capitol with the latest.
And that change came tonight.
In a sign of what was to come, Virginia Democrat Jennifer Wexton defeated Republican Congresswoman Barbara Comstock in one of the first races called. It's one of more than 24 seats flipped in yesterday's midterm elections that helped Democrats take back the House.
Today is more than about Democrats and Republicans. It's about restoring the Constitution's checks and balances to the Trump administration.
Moderate suburban districts helped push Democrats over the edge, like in the Texas 7th, where Lizzie Fletcher defeated incumbent John Culberson.
We have the power here to change the direction of our country, and that is what we are doing right now with this election.
Republicans diminished the blue wave by increasing their majority in the Senate.
We've got to prove why our way of thinking, why what works in the state of Indiana is going to work for the rest of America.
Despite the loss of the House, President Trump tweeted, "Tremendous success tonight."
Other notable Senate wins for Republicans: Mitt Romney won the open seat in Utah, Marsha Blackburn won in Tennessee, and Ted Cruz held off Beto O'Rourke in Texas. Arizona is still too close to call.
All right, it is time to reveal our 10 News School of the Week, powered by Duke Energy Florida. A big congratulations to Cypress Woods Elementary School in Dallas. There we go. Every year the school celebrates with a public ceremony for Veterans Day, and this year it's taking place Friday. So we'll be giving you a preview right here on Brightside. Plus, the school has a brand new kindness garden opening this week, where you'll get to peek at some of the stuff that they're doing out there. So a big congratulations.
That is so fun.
I
love that.
There, boy, we got this stuff in here fast.
I know.
I like that.
Very cool. Awesome. Weather-wise, it's looking pretty nice out there, huh?
Looking really nice this morning. Yeah, you're right, Candace. Mostly sunny skies today. Temps up around 87 degrees this afternoon. Maybe an isolated shower through the second half of the afternoon, but most of us don't see that. 86 tomorrow. We'll see temps dropping into the low 80s over the weekend. Overall, a nice weekend ahead. Just a small chance of rain both days. And then next week, changes coming on Tuesday. Highs at 75 with a 50% chance of scattered storms.
Morning commute just getting started here. This is a live look at downtown Tampa, 275 as it runs right there through downtown. You know, guys, traffic's been pretty quiet this morning, but now's when it's picking up. So Grant and I will both be back at 7:26 during CBS this morning for an update.
All right, we are keeping a very close eye on the Senate race here in Florida. As it stands right now, we will have a brand new governor. That is Ron DeSantis. We could have 2 Republican senators. The race between Bill Nelson and Rick Scott right now, they're separated by 0.43%, so less than a half a point, which could trigger a mandatory recount here in the state of Florida. We'll learn more about that as the day goes on today.
All righty, guys, have a great Wednesday. And again, another huge congrats to our School of the Week. Have a great day.